Let's just change angles a little bit here and go back to COVID. We will bring you that judgment at 10 o'clock. But in the meantime, talking about COVID, there are growing numbers of infections in the country, and so many people have to take public transport. And Going Green is a campaign protecting and sustaining the natural environment. But during the pandemic, the phrase has been given a new meaning with a focus on preserving the health of humans. And in this next study, it gains traction. The local minibus taxis could soon be ranked according to their green flag status. Research by the Green Flag Association suggests South African commuters are open to the idea of improving ventilation in taxis to limit the spread of COVID-19 and of course, tuberculosis. Well, for more on this, we're joined by Apex Environmental Technical Director Sean Chester. Mr. Chester, thank you for joining us. What were the findings of the poll? You went on those taxis with windows closed and windows open, and you came back with quite stark contrasts.
Yes, eNCA. I mean, if you get into a taxi and all the windows are closed, what we do is we use as a biomarker, we use carbon dioxide concentrations as the indicator of actually how bad the ventilation is. So obviously, the higher the carbon dioxide concentrations within a taxi, the more the rebreathed air is actually inside that taxi. So the virus is completely airborne. So just breathing and talking actually puts viral loads into the environment around you. So if you get high carbon dioxide concentrations, then you obviously get very high viral loads potentially. So what we find is that when the windows are closed, we're getting concentrations of up to 5,000 to 8,000 parts per million of carbon dioxide, whereas the outside concentrations are about 400 to 450 parts per million. So that added load of 4,500 parts per million of carbon dioxide is actually from rebreathed air. So when we look at the Delta variant, which is about 97% more transmissible than the Wuhan virus. So in the Wuhan virus, one person being infected would actually infect sort of two people. But now on the Delta variant, we're looking at more like one person being infected would infect four people. So what that means is that if you get 3 infected people getting into a taxi and driving for a 20-minute span with all the windows closed, you're getting 100% infection rate potentially. So this is what the research is kind of indicating. So it's incredibly important that we set the taxi up right.
I mean, that's a terrifying factor for so many people who are using public transport and they really have no choice. What have you done in terms of reaching out to the taxi industry and asking them to become compliant with open windows?
Well, if you look at the inserts over there, we very successfully worked with the Gauteng Department of Education, and we've set up 5,000 school buses and taxis, and we've actually put these little spaces in. And you can see these on your side notes over there. You've got some plastic panels coming in. We've had to take those out because we've proven through our ventilation studies that those don't actually work, they actually restrict. So working with the taxi association, working with SA Taxi, we've tried to get some momentum, but I have to say that we have not got the kind of momentum that we would like, and we've certainly seen that anecdotally. We're getting reports from all over on the taxi numbers that there's a very, very low compliance with the window opening at the moment still. Is
that, Sean, because it's very cold?
And absolutely, I think that's exactly what it is, But, we're in such a serious situation. Our lives and livelihoods are being locked. We are locking down restaurants, and we're basically killing the tourist industry as a result of this pandemic. The vaccine rollout is not being as effective as we want to. We certainly support the president on his decisions, and he's had to make the decisions that he has made. However, we need to have more enforcement on the taxi side of things. There's this very poor messaging happening across the board, from government right through to media houses and everything, that ventilation is not the priority when you look at the messaging. And so that is what's happening. We need to make sure that those windows are open. We need to make sure that Joe Public understands that the windows need to be open. We need the taxi associations, the taxi rank marshals, the conductors within the taxis and the drivers, all to be able to understand what this message means and how important it is to actually end this lockdown within 14 days. That's what we want now. We want the lockdown to end in 14 days. Otherwise, it's going to be extended.
Well, Sean, we wish you luck because it really is something that could certainly, I think, be a selling point. If I had to choose a green flag taxi over a taxi that wasn't one and there was space, I would want to jump into that one knowing that I'd be a little bit safer. But as you say, it is winter and it's probably why people are just really, really cold in the early mornings especially. Thank you so much. That was Sean Chester, Apex Environmental's Technical Director.